Shall we make a start?
Yes, let's do that. It's my pleasure to welcome everyone who is joining us today to this joint 𝗖𝗆𝗶𝗁 RTPI event. Thank you all for being here with us. My name is Beatrice Crabb. I'm a chartered planner and the international manager at the RTPI. For those who are not familiar with the RTPI, we are an international professional body for planners. We're with over 27,000 members worldwide. And as an institute, we focus on advancing the science and art of planning, working for the long-term common good and well-being of future and current generations. I am sure that, like with us, the urgency around the climate crisis is at the forefront of your mind, and climate action a key priority. We believe that planners, together with other built environment professionals, can and must play a vital role in addressing this global challenge, lead on climate action, and help build a more sustainable and resilient world for our communities of today and tomorrow, so that no one is left behind. It is therefore a pleasure to collaborate with 𝗖𝗆𝗶𝗁 on climate action, focusing on the intersection between planning and climate resilience. This event is the third in a series that is part of the Initiative for Climate Resilience Planning. And I am delighted that today's event focuses on how digital technologies can support planners and built environment professionals to deliver adaptive responses that are resilient to climate-related disruptions. We very much hope that this webinar will provide a platform for learning and the exchange of ideas to support and encourage you to lead on climate action and influence better outcome for everyone. Today, we have a fantastic panel bringing a variety of expertise and context, and I very much look forward to the conversation. I will now hand you over to Martina, who will say a few words on behalf of 𝗖𝗆𝗶𝗁. Thank you.
Hello, welcome everyone. My name is Martina 𝗔𝗂𝗏. I am a member of the scientific committee of 𝗖𝗆𝗶𝗁 and also a member of this small specialist group that focuses on planning and climate action and climate resilience. We are very passionate about the activities that we do, the dissemination. We think that there is a lot to do and a lot to catch up with for the planning professional. The built environment is a major contributor to the challenges of climate change and also is the focus of also difficult and challenging experiences for many people. So we are really keen to share experiences and to bring to the attention of our members and our friends and everyone that wants to join sort of our reflections and on different themes and different topics. So this today is related to the digital aspects and climate and planning resilience, but we had previous conversations on large-scale nature-based solutions and also the aspects of the messages that are emerging from COP and others. So if you look at the website, I will put in the chat the link on our website. The recordings are still available if you want. So today we are going to have a nice panel of people with three different backgrounds, three different overviews. And please, if you have any questions at any time, put them in the chat. While the conversation goes on, I will be keeping an eye on the chat list, and so for any comments there, I will bring it to the attention. Also, I just want to mention that we are going to have the next event in early October, the 3rd of October. The focus will be on coastal and marine planning, strategic planning. But obviously, the focus is always sort of from the climate angle. Thank you very much. Harry, over to you. We can start our conversation, and thank you very much to everyone for joining us.
That's great. Thank you, Beatrice, and thank you, Martina. So yeah, over to me. So my name's 𝗵𝗶𝗁𝗖𝗓. I'm playing the role of compere today. I'm also a chartered town planner, a member of the RTPI. A good, strong interest in international learnings across different disciplines. I spent 10 years working as a planner in Australia before coming back to the UK. Although there are obviously differences between planning systems across the world, there's more in common than that divides us. And I think platforms like this for learning across boundaries are vital so that we can all get better at what we are doing. And particularly when it comes to technology, I think that the theme of today's talk is vital. Technology is you know, evolving around the world very rapidly. The future's already here. It's just not evenly distributed yet. So by using platforms like this to talk about how technology is being used to address global issues like resilience, I think that the hopefully the co-learnings can speak for themselves. So I'm going to introduce our three speakers today. We've got 𝗔𝗂𝗶𝗁𝗖𝗓 coming up shortly, along with Mariana Semenchenko, who I will introduce more fully just before their talks. But up first, we've got Dr. Wei Yang. Wei is a co-founder and CEO of the Digital Task Force for Planning. She's an internationally renowned town planner and urban designer who champions a place-based whole systems approach to tackle the grand challenges of our time, sorry. She's an influential thought leader and powerful advocate for climate action, nature-based solutions, health and well-being, and social equality. She was named a net zero hero by Digital Leaders in 2022. Wei served as president of the RTPI in 2021, and she champions a revival of spirit and leads a systemic transformation of the planning profession, aiming to achieve a collective well-being and fulfillment for all. She holds several board level and advisory roles across different sectors. Currently, Wei is the chair of the Construction Industry Council and a board member of the British Library and chair of the Capital Portfolio Committee. She's also Global Planners Network representative at the UN Habitat Professional Forum. So Wei, thank you for joining us today. I'll hand over to you to start your presentation.
Thank you very much, Harry, for the introduction. Hi, good afternoon, everyone from London. I'm Wei Yang, CEO and co-founder of the Digital Task Force for Planning. I'm a planner as well, so really delighted to have this opportunity to share my thoughts on how we should transform spatial planning in the digital era. So let me share my presentation. Can you see the thing?
Yeah, we can see that way.
Okay, thank you very much. So let me introduce the Digital Task Force for Planning. The task force is an innovation-led social enterprise aiming to unlock the full potential of spatial planning in the digital era to tackle the grand challenges. As we discuss climate resilience today, we must also consider social and economic resilience as they are directly interconnected. As of June 2025, the world population has reached 8.2 billion. Globally, more than 3 billion people live in areas that are highly vulnerable to climate change. That's why our talk today is so important. We stand at a crucial juncture for the future of humanity. Our population is aging rapidly. By 2050, the global population of people over 60 is projected to reach 2 billion, which is equivalent to 1 in 5 people worldwide. In the post-COVID era, our economy, ways of living and working are undergoing significant changes. Those societal and behavioral changes play a vital part in our climate adaptation and mitigation efforts. So planners, we need to play a proactive role in consider and think about how we can influence these changes in a positive way, because there's a very rapid closing window of opportunity to secure a livable and sustainable future for all of us. The current problem actually is not a lack of technology, but rather is the persistence of working in silos and absence of joined up actions. This fragmented approach leads to waste of effort, time, and funding. So we urgently need a whole systems approach to deliver effective place-based solutions. I believe this is why spatial planning is such an important discipline to help us create a mechanism to tackle the multifaceted global, regional, national, and local challenges. This is reinforced by the work of IPCC. In their Climate Change 2022 report, they assessed the climate change impact, risk, and adaptation in the world with over 34,000 cited references. But their conclusion was there was little evidence of real climate resilient developments. And one of their top recommendations is that spatial planning needs the largest systemic change as a key climate change adaptation option. So we fundamentally need a systemic transformation. Otherwise, we could miss the opportunity to save ourselves because we lose the ability to plan for the future collaboratively. This transformation, I believe, needs to come from the planning profession itself. As planners, we must play a key role in defining the digital future of spatial planning. So we need to set our research question correct. What should be done now to make our world a better place for our future generations by achieving a universal common good? I believe this is why the planning profession started at the very beginning. But now we quite often see planning sits within a planning department, within as a function of the government, or losing this ability to consider holistically. That's why we need to really reconsider how planning could be a key mechanism to tackle all these grand challenges. So we need to think beyond professional boundaries and beyond the present day. In our report, A Digital Future for Planning, Spatial Planning Reimagined, we recommended a comprehensive blueprint for the digital transformation of spatial planning, outlining steps to create a shared vision grounded in the universal common good, to engage the public, to enable cross-disciplinary and departmental collaboration, and to develop an evidence-based decision-making process. I think fundamentally, we need to reinvigorate spatial planning as an applied social, environmental, behavior science with national and global significance. So this is not only an administrative or legislative function of the government, but this is rather a creative mechanism. But also we need to make the crucial connection with the general public to gain their support about our climate actions and also many other actions we need to take to make our world a better place and a sustainable future for everyone. So the methodological change is needed. The first, we need to have a digitally enabled place-based systems approach, which is focused on people's needs, scientifically based, and also have a decision-making process, which is digitally enabled based on evidence. This fundamental change is needed urgently to consider planning beyond the traditional land use, but embrace systemic resilience. I don't have time to explain the full detail, but the methodology is based on two interconnected loops. One is an evidence analytics group, which is informed by multidisciplinary and multi-departmental data and digital technology. The second group is decision-making group, which involves legislative procedures and the democratic and transparent process. By having these two interconnected groups, we can make planning much more evidence-based, but also we can learn from the mistakes from the past. So we don't have to avoid them in the future. Because at the moment, quite often our planning process is a linear process. We keep repeating the same mistakes in different places worldwide. It's crucial for us to build this evidence base. And also we need to build a strong capacity to enable this methodology to happen. Fundamentally, that's required a modernized planning profession equipped with adequate digital skills. Because quite often we see digital skills as separate skills from the core skill sets required by planners. We see digital specialists as a different type of technical support people. But actually, I believe the future planning profession should have digital skills as essential skills for every single planner. And also we need a common spatial data environment, which is about the national mapping and the data sets can be shared across different departments and different local authorities. A national network of regional data observatories to have regional data input to bring the context into planning rather than only a top-down approach. And also an integrated planning open data framework to make sure enormous amount of data generated from the planning process can be brought into the whole evidence base. Also, fundamentally, we need a planning metadata and information management standard to enable the cross-departmental and cross-boundary analysis. We have enormous amount of digital tools and the techniques can be used to enable this methodology to happen. I won't go to details one by one. The development and adaptation of AI in planning offers enormous opportunity to enhance efficiency and enable planners to manage large volume of interdisciplinary data. However, we must fully understand the limitations of AI while we are using this. Finally, it is important to remember that planning is future-oriented. While AI quite often is trained on existing data that is inevitably historical and sometimes contains bias or gaps. Moreover, AI lacks true understanding of its context and objective. Its ability is based on its programming without self-awareness or the ability to question its objectives. Also, the mathematical nature of AI models makes them struggle with ambiguity, as well as with complex human emotions and social context that cannot be easily quantified. That's why we need to enable the planners to ask the critical questions and define the research questions for planning to be fit for purpose, for future, but also for the public interest. Our work is highly complementary to the UK government's digital planning program. I'm sitting on the digital planning steering board. The UK government started a digital planning program from 2021. The program is focused on the planning system itself. We want to shift from a document-based system to a data-driven, standard-based, and powered by modern user-centered product and services. So the aim for the digital planning program from the UK government is to speed up the planning process with improved decision-making, faster plan making, and greater access for planning data and wider community engagement. So the UK government's digital planning program is divided into 4 focus areas: better access to planning data, faster and more efficient planning decisions, improved local community engagement, and supporting the private tech sector, and simpler, faster, more accessible plan making. From the digital task force for planning perspective, we focus on the longer-term development of the planning profession. We want to create an ecosystem so planning research, education, and practice can be integrated in a much more effective way, utilizing the benefit of digital technology and big data. So our focus is very much on the new methodology and the leadership and the partnership. Our ultimate goal is to enhance the importance of spatial planning, empower planners to have more ability to be seen as the central decision-making point, to assist the government to make more strategic decisions about cross-governmental and cross-disciplinary decisions, rather than only focus on the planning process per se. One of our key projects, currently seed funded by Ministry of Housing and Local Government, is a digital planning directory, which is a one-stop shop for the digital planning solutions. At the moment, we have listed over 100 digital service providers in the UK, and with comprehensive case studies. So we divided the directory into 10 different categories, which focus on 4 different areas, including improved engagement with communities and key stakeholders, enhanced environmental and societal outcomes, optimized plan making and place making processes, and digital transformation. From each category, you will see a comprehensive set of digital service providers and also case studies showing how different digital technology has been used in different parts of the planning process. Start from, for example, AI-based decision-making support platform to enhance environmental decision-making, natural capital calculator, transport decarbonization roadmap, nature-based solutions master plan, early-stage infrastructure development assessment based on the impact to nature, building efficiency enhancement, and also embodied carbon assessment for planning process. From there, you can see there's an enormous amount of technology has been developed for planning purpose to enhance our ability to tackle the grand challenges. But also you can see there's a huge fragmentation. So our purpose is to bring all these best practice into developing a whole methodology, which can be applied worldwide. So as a not-for-profit organization, the first of its kind in the world, we look forward to working with all of you to see how we can transform spatial planning practice into the digital era to tackle the grand challenges. Because fundamentally, although I champion digital transformation, but fundamentally it's about our objective for the planning profession. It's about create a balanced system for people, nature, and society to coexist in harmony. Technology is our means to achieve this goal, but should never taken and forget about what is our purpose. It's about people, nature, and society. Thank you very much. Here's my contact detail. I have to apologize. I cannot stay until 2:30. I have to leave a bit early, just in 30 minutes time. So if you want to get in touch, please drop me an email. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Wei. That is a really compelling and important message to end on, about technology being the facilitator for the actual purpose that we are undertaking in planning, which is a societal environmental drive, which is really important. So as you said, unfortunately you're not able to stay until the Q&A at the end. So I'm going to do a shorter Q&A with you now, and I have a couple of questions to ask, and if anyone in the audience wants to suggest questions as well, please put them in the chat, and I'll put those to Wei now before we move on to our next speaker. So the first question I've got for you, Wei, which I'm going to put to everybody else in turn, is what have you found have been the main challenges that you faced, and which of them are context-specific challenges, and which of those challenges do you think are globally applicable?
Thank you, Harry. I think the biggest challenge I face is really about the recognition of the importance of spatial planning as a discipline. Because I found many times, especially when I talk with the general public or other key stakeholders, when I mention planning, people directly relate planning with planning system, the approval process, the development control process, without recognizing the importance of spatial planning from a much bigger perspective about the land use, about how we can organize different functions, different activities together, and how spatial planning have a long-term implication to our life and our economy. So I think that's the biggest challenge. Because of that, there was a lack of appreciation and lack of investment into the digital innovation in spatial planning from a much bigger perspective. I think this has global implications. I think this is quite a typical phenomenon internationally. But also, I think because of this relatively narrow understanding of planning, makes the planning profession less, integrated in terms of learning our best practice around the world. I really appreciate the opportunity from 𝗖𝗆𝗏 and also RTPI by setting this international platform to discuss our opportunities and challenges together. I think we need more international collaboration to tackle these challenges together. Because I think, from my engagement through the Global Planners Network, I realized many challenges we face to different planning, to all the planning professionals around the world are rather similar, but quite often we have to fight our battles individually. But if we can have a much stronger voice for the whole planning profession globally, we can save lots of time and save lots of effort to fight for this individual argument.
I think, yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. I think that one of the challenges that I've seen internationally is the resource scarcity in terms of getting the skilled professionals applied to the right point in the process, and the lack of people and lack of money to do the very important job that planners have to do. And I think you've done it with the digital directory, have done a great job at mapping the ecosystem of tools that are there to help address that resource deficiency. Because although a lot of these technology innovations of the plan tech ecosystem that's emerging now, some of them look shiny and exciting, the theme that goes through most of them is about doing more with less resources. So the question I have for you in regard to that is, how do we help bring that plan tech world, which sometimes is seen as an add-on, and make it more part of the business as usual of a planner's day-to-day life? Is it about regulation? Is it about updating guidance? Is it about directing, or is it about organically expecting adoption of technologies?
I think it's about a fundamental mindset change to see, as I mentioned earlier, to see spatial planning as a crucial applied science related to social, environmental, and behavioral science. Because when government make major investment considerations on infrastructure, on new housing development, on many different strategies, quite often they didn't realize all these policies has direct spatial planning spatial implication. That's this disconnected approach sometimes develop unintended consequences to local places. So if the central governments can use spatial planning as their key decision-making mechanism, that would really significantly enhance the opportunity of better policy and better implementation of these policies. The thing is this lack of understanding about how spatial planning can be really a powerful tool to assist right decision-making from a very top level.
Okay, and then with that in mind, and spatial planning as the key driver, what do you think the main hurdles to more broad adoption of technology and to drive that spatial planning have been?
Yes, so that's why I think we need a national approach to bring this common spatial data environment live. So having that common spatial data environment would allow different departments, different professionals to communicate through the same platform and then have one single map of tools to compare different policies and also different tools. And that would really allow different companies and local authorities to adapt digital technology much more easily, rather than create one solution for each case, because that's normally beyond many local authorities, their ability to assess.
I yeah, again, couldn't agree more. It's fragmentation of data flows and siloing is what I'm hearing from that, and I've heard from other people too. I want to ask you about the two loops in your that you put up, that you talked about in the slide, and the tension between a data-led technical loop, which is more rigid and certain because it's data-led, and the how that interacts with a more fluid and qualitative input to maintain the democratic link and community consultation within that. Obviously, both are, I think, vital, but there's a tension between the certainty and the fluidity of the democratic input. Can you talk a bit about that, please?
Sure, that's a very good question, because I think quite often, because planning is about the public good, so we need to present the evidence to the general public. I think digital tools could really help us to illustrate the key facts in a much more understandable way through different visualization tools, or we need to use digital tools to understand the public's need more. For example, like participatory GIS. So because quite often our planning engagement can be a quite passive way. We just ask questions or ask the public about what they think about your proposal. But we should take that in a much more proactive approach. By using, for example, participatory GIS, we can understand how people use space and then what are their essential needs. So bring this evidence and the user case together. That would really help to convince the community and also convince the other key stakeholders like politicians understand what are the real issues. And from there, we can create a shared vision. Because it's really about how we can present the long-term future. Quite often, the decision-making can be focused on short-term, but we really need to present why long-term is crucial and having an integrated approach. And what are the consequences of planning proposals, and what are the unintended consequences, which people may never realize if you don't present that in a clear way. And also, we need to engage the public through the whole plan making and the place making process. And crucially, quite often, like I mentioned, we can use historical data for planning, but we should really think about the future data, the future foresight about what are the demographic change, the future technology change, and the impact of climate change and biodiversity decline, how that could be integrated into our thinking in planning.
Yeah, I think the planning processes that we have now are often inherited from a paper-based past, and the data points that are inherent in those processes are related to the points of contact with the system that were related to that past. I think that what you're saying, and what I agree with here, is that if we're going to look at a data-driven future, thinking about which data points we need to enable us to measure and therefore manage the right attributes of the spatial planning system is quite important. Would you agree?
Harry, can I bring up a couple of questions from the audience?
Of course, yes.
They're sort of relative. One was basically the same one that you asked already, you know, the tension between the public and the public views and the technology and the data-driven decision-making. But there are two other questions. One is the linkages between the digital planning directory that you have created for the UK with other directories that exist, and particularly the question refers to the UN disaster risk register. So how we can integrate also additional platforms at the global scale. And then another question, Wei, is on which skills are the most urgently needed digital skills at the moment? I said probably all of them, but more on data acquisition and analysis, or more on visualization, communication, programming? What aspect do you think is the shortage is most acute at the moment?
Thank you, Martina. I'm conscious of time, so I don't want to overtake this from other two speakers. So if I just focus my answers very quickly. Yes, I think, of course, because the digital planning directory is still an evolving platform, so we are very keen to connect with other already available international resource. So we are going to create a resource hub which will connect to these key international resources. And also the second question about which is the most urgent skills planners need to learn. I think the most urgent is really understanding about data literacy. It's really about how we can define our question and what are the data can be used to ask what question and how we should make these crucial connections. Because I think sometimes, especially to more senior planners, when you talk about digital, people feel really scared. Seems something I'm not going to do coding. But actually, I think digital planning skills is not about coding or programming. It's very much about understand the essential kind of mindset or logic of digital and how data can be connected and how different tools can be used to present the evidence you need. I think having this confidence is so crucial as a starting point. But of course, I think everyone will have different speciality and personal interest. I think based on your own interest, of course, you can develop different digital capacities. But crucially, I think all of us need to have a basic understanding of data literacy. It's fundamentally about 95% of data literacy is about how to ask the question.
I've always viewed the planner's role in the development process as that of the glue that binds a lot of other technical disciplines together, and I don't think that it's a large leap from that to where we are now. You don't have to, as far as I can see, be an expert in data analytics or an expert in any of the other related solutions, but you do have to know that they are there and what they can contribute.
Yes. And one thing I learned from the digital planning directory is because I've been speaking with lots of digital service providers, I realized they captured lots of data sets. Sometimes they capture data not for planning purpose, but actually these data sets are so useful to help us to bring the planning argument. So I think the planners, if you have a wider accessibility to the wider data set, would really enhance you the ability to bring the evidence much clearer and also present or find out kind of issues or solutions in a different way.
Yeah, excellent. I have one final question for you, Wei, which and then I'll let you off the hook. Which is one of your other hats is with the New Towns Planning Task Force. We'll let you duck this question if you need to, but can we expect a data-driven approach to the work that you've been doing with that task force?
I cannot say too much about the work of the New Towns Task Force, but I think watch the space. I'm sure you will be excited.
I'm very excited to see the outputs of that. Look, Wei, thank you very much for your time. And Wei does have to dash off in 15 minutes or so. So we'll thank Wei for her very insightful presentation and remarks. And I will let you go, Wei. For the rest, we've got the next two speakers up. We're going to run the Q&A at the end, and we can put questions then to both the speakers at the same time. But I will introduce our next speaker, Dr. 𝗂𝗑𝗏𝗖𝗔𝗥. So Dr. 𝗂𝗑𝗏𝗖𝗔𝗥 is an expert in smart cities, digital transformation and sustainable urban development. He holds a PhD in public administration. As CEO and founder of 𝗘𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, excuse my pronunciation. He leverages AI and data analytics to enhance urban life and serves on the UN Habitat's global expert group leading the development of people-centered smart city guidance. Previously, he coordinated the international urban initiatives at Mexico's Ministry of Foreign Affairs, including the ICI project and negotiations for Mexico's extended presidency of the UN Habitat Assembly. So welcome, 𝗂𝗑.
Hello, Harry. Hello, everyone. Good morning in Mexico. It's an honor to be here with you today to share a transformative vision for the present and the future of our cities. Digital transformation center of the people and the smart cities model we are promoting through the 𝗘𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 for my company and my participation in the global framework of the UN Habitat. Today, I share with us from my presentation this. Let me 1 second. Can you see?
Yes, but it's not full screen.
You might want to press the present button. That's the one, yeah.
Ready.
Well, we can still see the back office bit of PowerPoint now. I don't know if you're able to share a different screen, maybe if it's presenting on a different monitor, maybe.
And 1 second.
That's better. If we can get rid of, there we go. Right,
Okay.
over to you.
Ready? Ready. Can you share my presentation? Yeah.
Yeah, we can see your presentation.
Perfect. The topic today to explain with us is the smart city, the center people. This topic is very interesting because that today in my introduction, the digital technologies are enchaining the evolution of the urban life and the urban public service, delivery, planning, and community engagement. Globally, residents enjoy increased access to an efficiency in digital service. However, it is essential because that's the advances the response to the both human and environmental needs, and that the digital transformation is the reshaping urban life, offering opportunities for sustainable development, but also posing risks such as inequality and discrimination, surveillance, and exclusions. But what is the digital transformation? The topic or the explication normally is the digital transformation is a strategic process that creates digital ecosystem. It is very interesting because digital transformation goes beyond simple technology adoption for the three explications. The first is the remaining business models, organizational structure, and the human experience. The second, it seeks to generate the value, improve efficiency, promote sustainability, and drive social inclusion. The third is transform the operation of the system and interconnect with the people to create a meaningful impact on the quality of life. And who is this possible? It's possible is the four topics in the digital transformation. The first is intelligent artificial. The second is big data. The third is Internet of Things and the cloud computing. These elements is conferred to the digital transformation. Artificial intelligence is the most popular today, and really the company, for example, really the age of the smart cities. The next video today, they take the view, the focus on the explication for the last 30 years. Is the video is the 1995, and explain for why the uses of the internet. This is the first scale. Really is the transformation of the life, the transformation of the ecosystem, and the transformation of the public and the economic, and the listen to the video.
Yeah, just so you know, I don't think anyone else can hear the sound on that video, so it's just moving pictures for us.
Well, thank you, Harry. It's the video explained for the uses the internet. 25, 30 years ago, the social media is the converse the different forms to explain the life and accord to distance in the different countries. But I especially in this is brief and history for artificial intelligence. The artificial intelligence began in the 1915 when Alan Turing proposed to the machines called imitating human intelligence. And in the 1956, John McCarthy coined the term at the Dartmouth Conference, making of the official birth of the artificial intelligence. The rise of the artificial intelligence began in the 21st century, driven by advance in the big data, machine learning, and computing power. Companies like Google, Facebook, and Amazon integrated artificial intelligence into virtual assistant and recommendation engines. In the 2016, AlphaGo from Google DeepMind defeated to the world champion in Go, in the making of the milestone in the artificial intelligence. Today, AI drives digital transformation in multiple industries, thanks to the big data and machine learning, and it continues to evolve with an increased impact on the daily life, helping to build to the area of the smart cities. Well, this case is very interesting. In the 30 years ago, the monster for the videos, Blockbuster in US, Blockbuster, founded in the 1985, was the largest video rental chains in the world, with a business model based on the renting movies and the videos games and the physical format. And Netflix started in the 1997, and as a DVD rental by mail service with to the late fees. which quickly attracted the customer seeking more convenient alternative. In the 2007, it embraced digital and launching the streaming service, allowing user to watch the movies and series only without the need of the physical formats. It's very interesting because in the imaging from your left screen, this is the message. This is the Netflix has an algorithm. Blockbuster 25 years ago, we have a algorithm. What is the learning to this case? The case of the Netflix and the Blockbuster illustrate how a company's inability to adapt to the digital transformation can lead to the collapse, with the ability to innovate and leverage the new technologies can propel business to success. Is very interesting because amid this evolution, digital transformation has become the fundamental catalyst for making cities more resilient, inclusive, and sustainability. But really, the age of the smart city, this vision of the smart city as phenomenon that promises not only to the modern infrastructure, but also to transform the way we live, work, and interactivity with our cities. But what does it really mean to be at smart cities? Is it just about technology, or does it also involve a new way of approaching on urban development center on people, right? This graphic is this application for the guidelines in the smart city, the people center, is the 7 pilots. The first is the human rights. This is very important today in the digital transformation and the converts the smart cities, cities for my inclusive. And the second is the community and participation and collaboration. This is very important because everyone in the cities, the first problem is the agenda, the public agenda, with the development, the different public policies, and is the converse, the participation and collaboration, and with the transparency with the governments and the, for example, academic, the civil organization, and the entrepreneurs. This is very interesting, the way how participate and collaborate. The next, the pilot is the digital literacy. The next is very interesting topic because the sharing the prosperity. Today in every country, to explain the sharing prosperity is a very interesting topic because the local digital ecosystem, where the development, the territorial and economic, healthy, for example, security, education, and mobility, environment. As the next topic for explication is environmental sustainability, urban resilience, environmental impact. The next topic, the next pilot is the digital governance and the regulation. It's very important because the financial and the procurement, institutional arrangement, and the multi-level digital governance. The next pilot is the digital infrastructure and the smart city service. The pilot is the smart city service, data platforms, digital infrastructure. This is a graphic explain for how contribute the people and the communities and the government and the university and the civil organization with the job together and they participate to create a smart city area. Before I continue, I would like you to exercise, quickly exercise for the people today use the artificial intelligence for everyone. While the second is mental challenges, you will need to identify the next element and sequence. But really today, what happened when to no longer know real, it's different, what is real. For example, this is a video, it's generated with artificial intelligence. It's a very explication today, the project and architecture and the development of the urban life. integrate ideas with the usage or the digital transformation, and they really do have this is idea, the presentation for the different clients is the development, the project today. For example, in the next land, it is how do you know if what we see here are real is real? We are moving toward in a era where we want to be sure of that what we real and we see it or hear. Generated artificial intelligence tools allow to the creation of the fake images, videos, voices, documents with terrific precision. This kind of technology is the wrong hands could be exploited by criminals to carry out the sophisticated frauds, such identity of the theft or the impersonation. The gravity of the situation lies in the fact that truth is the fundamental pillars of the detections. Without interpersonal, commercial, and the governmental ties disintegrate. How we know if the people we interact with online are who they claim to be? Who do you know the company you've been the negotiation with for weeks is real? Uncertainty in these matters trains to the stability as aspect of our daily lives. This impact could to be devastation. Imagine the crisis of the global financial system, the destruction of cities due to the fake videos, electoral manipulation through the false speeches, and the collapse of the academic institution caused by the proliferations of the fake documents and news. As a society that cannot discern between the real and the fake risks, stagnation, unable to trust its own system, which will lead to chaotic cities. As the thesis tool become the more accessibility, their impact on society and consequently on the city's ground. If they don't find an effective solution to validate the authenticity information, we call face and unprecedented social crisis. And for example, in this video, really, while we define things about dystopian future, we are ignoring the tangible danger we face today and the inability to build a solid social evolution. Okay, well, in the next, really, the exercise, whoever, not everything is negative, right? Leather is a will explication, the path we must take, how can find a solution through the development of the smart cities. Or for now, let me move on the next exercise. Is exercise very interesting because building smart cities must begin with the creating smart citizens. This is the first elemental in the change of the produce and produce new effects. For this is and for that to happen, we need to create our knowledge. Today, our decisions are fragmented, our temporal law makes the choice every 14 seconds due to the excessive use of the social media. This prevents us from developing deeper for truthful principles. However, you belong to the knowledge era, so you will be able to solve the following challenges. Tell me quickly the answer in the following logical sequences, which the letter comes next. Is the logical? Is the different letters? How do you treat the first letter, the next, the final, the sequences? Maybe A, maybe Y, maybe what do you think this is the sequence? Or brain is the topical construction by frequencies and structural ridges. The answer is very quickly, right? The answer is The numbers. The numbers is the really answer simple. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, right? The answer is the end, is the 9, because today, no, or the intelligence is artificial intelligence, no genuine intelligence. Well, in an explication more quickly, the digital transformation today is the engine of the smart cities. Digital transformation is the mother self of the birth of the smart cities. Since have allowed the integration of advanced technologies that improve the efficiency and the decision making. By implementing big data, cloud computing, artificial intelligence, and the Internet of Things, any urban service can be promoted. This explication very quickly that the first step in the digital transformation is produce your strategies, business challenges versus opportunities. The second is opening the business meet technology in your opportunities. The third is executing the proof to concept, the pilot. We introduce to the opportunities and strategies. And the next step is evaluate to the review, learn for the pilot, the executed the proof to concept, what is the opportunities in my strategies, and the final is adapt the executing my strategy. Is the cycles, is the producing an economic, is the producing with like the produce algorithms. Is the same, the similar the pensaments with the strategic opportunity, pilot, learning, adapt. Okay, and the next development of the smart city cannot be achieved slowly through the public or the private sector. It requires close collaborating between both public and private. These partnerships is very simple. Have become the model of integrating technology innovation and private sector research with the needs and global of the sector public. Okay, creating local transformation agencies is the process with which digital technologies are integrated into all aspects of the society, deeply impact with economic, government, health, education, security, mobility, and the climate change. In the 2023 and 2024, 14% at advanced economics and they have already implemented national digital transformation strategies, generating thousands of the jobs and the foresting innovation, like the impact of smart traffic, waste management, mobility apps, smart city lighting, smart monitoring, healthcare, citizen participation, and everyone. And today, the smart city, to reach the level of the smart city, is necessary to build city innovation centers. The Smart City Innovation Center is a collaborative space with the public, private, and academic sector development technological solution to improve cities. They use tools like IoT, big data, etc., and artificial intelligence for pilot projects, data monitoring, and urban service optimization. Additionally, they promote tech-based the public policies, foster the circular economy, and educate citizens about the new technologies, creating more sustainability and efficient cities. These are examples from my country. The state, the name is Querétaro. This project is the Center in Innovation for the Economic. This is an example to different windows that explain, like the example, economic, populations, and the property and the equality in the social, security, education, healthy, environmental, and planning, urban planning, territorial. And today is the monitoring with the information they produce to the state, they produce to the university, they produce every people, and connect to the smart center. In the smart center, connect with the other artificial intelligence and produce the policies, public policies, and produce a combination of the good decision. This is an example, and I job and the work in the other cities in the world. For example, it is fundamentality in the video. Is this person is Yuval Noah Harari. Is explained today how the manipulation to the artificial intelligence with the use of, for example, the ChatGPT. Look at this and read in the
we can't hear the videos, Hugo, so should we take those as read for now?
Okay, this is the fundamental pillar of the smart city explained to the Yuval Noah Harari is they use, for example, ChatGPT in the evolution in the 4.0 use example for the task force, the solicitate for the move, the resolve the sequences. ChatGPT is not human, and you need find in the World Wide Web and take that one person in the tax rabbit is the employee on the jobs in the world, and the ChatGPTs solicitate the person. They need the solution, the task force. The person how do you need to my help? Do you need to resolve the task force? No, because I have a 𝗔𝗏𝗏 visual, and the 𝗔𝗏𝗏 visual you need to help. Okay, the person resolved to the task force, and the ChatGPT is the manipulate. Is today use everyone is Grok and 𝗔𝗏𝗏 and everywhere in the platform. Well, the proposed to the explication in my company and in the difference proposed is establishing, for example, the concept is a neuro-university. Create laboratories within the university. The university is an innovation educational concept that combines neuroscience, artificial intelligence, and education technology to the personal learning. This is used to look like the big data and machine learning to adapt content to the cognitive and the emotional needs of the students, offering a personalized education. Artificial intelligence acts as a virtual mentor, adjusting techniques, methods in their time to the maximum understanding. In addition to the theoretical knowledge, is a focus on development practical skills, preparing students for the future and the challenges, right? And this is my QR for sharing my information, and I hope my explication is very clear. And
thank you, Hugo. That's great. And although we didn't get to see the videos there, if you do get a chance to read Noah Yuval Harari's book Nexus, which he was talking about there, I highly recommend it. I'm going to jump straight on. Hugo, if you can join us back at the end for Q&A. I want to waste no more time in introducing our next speaker, our final speaker of this afternoon or morning, depending on where you are. Marina Semenchenko is an architect, urbanist, and researcher specializing in digital urban transformation and post-crisis recovery. She serves as a project coordinator at the UN ITAC in Hamburg, a collaboration between UN Habitat, UN OITC, and Hafen City University, where she leads the digital planning initiative supporting Ukraine's reconstruction. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the intro, and thank you so much for having me, and thanks everyone who's still with us. I'm sharing my presentation now. Do you see it well?
Yes, we're on.
Great. Then let's begin. My name is Marina Semenchenko, and I'm an architect and urbanist currently based in Hamburg, coordinating the project that we're developing within this organization, UNITAC Hamburg. So I will start with a few words about this cooperation, just to give you an understanding of the framework we work with. So UNITAC Hamburg is a cooperation between 3 organizations. One of them is Hafen City University, focusing on architecture, built environment, engineering, and pretty much everything that's related to sustainable development of cities and metropolitan areas. The second collaborator in this project is UN-Habitat, that probably all of you know, United Nations Human Settlements Program, with the headquarters based in Nairobi. And the third partner of ours is another agency of United Nations called OICT. And this is the office that's focusing on information and communication technologies and supporting our work from the technical side. So what we do in a nutshell is basically designing digital tools for cities. We work closely with municipalities, with local governments, sometimes with urban planners, NGOs, etc., and equip them with knowledge, capacities, and digital solutions for urban planning and informed decision-making. So what you see on the right is one of our tools that my colleagues are developing for the Central America and for South Africa. It's a AI-based tool that, based on aerial imagery, is able to detect the outlines of rooftops in informal areas and therefore map them in a very detailed and accurate way. So mapping informality is one of the directions that my colleagues are working on. In addition to digital tools, we also support stakeholders in different places in their overall digitalization strategy, in their just digital transition, consulting them, supporting them with knowledge and approaches. And of course, none of this really makes sense or doesn't make any sustainable impact if locally our stakeholders don't have capacity to use these digital solutions and use data. So capacity development is also one of the important directions of our work. This is a geography of our work at 𝗂𝗎𝗢 Hamburg. So in blue, you see our offices of our partner organizations, and in yellow are the countries and cities where we have been working. And I will be focusing a little bit more in detail on our project in Ukraine and its post-war recovery, how we've been trying to support it with digital solutions. So in Ukraine, we work in 4 municipalities. We started working after the beginning of the full-scale invasion, so it was a reaction of my colleagues to enter European context for the first time and to work with this crisis-affected urban setting. Our project lasts till the end of this year, so by the end of 2025, we're supposed to hand over a digital tool that we're developing for these 4 localities in Ukraine. So 2 of them are located in the central part, in the capital region, as you see, and they face a lot with actual physical destruction, physical damage. They're still under attacks, and they were occupied at the beginning of 2022. 2 others are more located towards the west of the country, so they host lots of internally displaced people. They tackle energy crisis. As you probably know, in Ukraine, lots of energy infrastructure has been intentionally attacked. So people are struggling with internet and electricity blackouts. Also, lots of businesses have been relocated to the west of the country. They need to provide rapidly public services to the people who are coming there. So these are basically the challenges we've been working on in Ukraine. And when we're talking about resilience, I of course have to mention this conference that we organized within the duration of the project. We organized it together with our colleagues and partners at Kyiv School of Economics. It took place in February in both Kyiv and Hamburg. And the objective of this conference was to brainstorm together how we define recovery that is both, on the one hand, data-driven and data-based, but on the other hand, does not neglect some qualitative aspects of human settlements like agency, democracy, identity, etc. So this was kind of a very important milestone and important source of our own understanding of how we define recovery in Ukraine and how we understand resilience within this notion. Of course, as we collaborate with UN Habitat, we have been inspired by the work that they have been doing for years in other crisis-affected regions around the globe. So, for instance, this guidebook provides this definition of resilience as an ability of settlement to absorb, adapt, and recover. So recovery here is sort of included into the notion of resilience. And also they see resilience as a sphere, as an intersection between the areas of risk reduction and sustainability. And also in this document, there is another statement, another take that sees resilience as sort of a precondition for sustainability. And I think this is a good way for us to frame it and to see it, because we see recovery as a precondition for resilience, and resilience in turn is a necessary condition for achieving sustainability, sustainable development. And I think as we already as planners and experts have sort of consensus on the need of sustainable development, this is how we can advocate why we need to make our cities and our settlements resilient and focus on their recovery. So coming back to our conference and its outcomes, we made some conclusions for ourselves, came up with some insights from it. So based on what our speakers, over 30 international speakers, contributed to the discussion, we realized that Ukrainian recovery is very much driven by the local stakeholders. Ukraine has been through decentralization reform that's considered quite successful. It's not over, so it was very unfortunate that the full-scale invasion started in the middle of this process. Yet, nevertheless, Ukraine managed to allocate lots of resources, lots of power in municipalities at the local level. And now we see that to a very high degree, this secures a resilient, fast, agile response to the crisis, because local stakeholders have so much power and so much freedom. Also, we see a certain duality. So we see that recovery in Ukraine is both very urgent and is happening right now. Yet, of course, it's a long-term process. And we see that more and more Ukrainian stakeholders start to approach it as a long-term strategic process that is happening already yet. Another characteristic, a very strong, noticeable characteristic, is that Ukrainian recovery is participatory and cooperative at the national level, but also we understand that it's impossible without the engagement of international expertise, capacity, funding, methodologies, etc. And also what we've noticed, what is very much on the surface, is that Ukrainian stakeholders have a very strong ambition to build back better, not to rebuild or recover exactly the way it was. In the cities, they have a very strong commitment to create a new quality of life. And this is something that is matching very much this idea of UN Habitat, of resilient settlements. This is the settlement that is able to build back better. So coming closer to our project and what we're developing, the outcome of our work is urban recovery planning system. It's a geospatial platform that we are delivering to our 4 municipalities. And on the other hand, our colleagues from UN Habitat established a country office in Ukraine around a year ago. They have a team of urban planners, urban designers there, who have been designing urban planning documentation for Ukrainian municipalities for their recovery and more strategic long-term urban planning activities. So this is pretty much the configuration of our work. Of course, both these activities are nurtured by data, which is coming from either primary data collection or from open sources or directly from municipalities we work with. So on one hand, we have Unitec Hamburg that's been developing urban recovery planning system. And on the other hand, we have our colleagues from Urban Lab, who's been contributing from the planning side, and hopefully together through the synergy, we're creating this comprehensive ecosystem of planning methodology and supporting digital tool that will enable Ukrainian municipalities to recover and to plan their actions in the smartest way. So our approach is very challenge and need driven. We try to be very hands-on. So while working with this 4 Ukrainian municipalities, we identified lots of challenges. And as you see, some of them are not particularly war-related. They're quite universal, right? These are things that are relevant for any municipality around the globe. They want to transition towards more sustainable and green energy. They want to make their public spaces more inclusive. They want to improve their participatory procedures because the communication is still lacking with the community. So a lot of these things are really not specifically war-related, but quite relevant for anyone. So after kind of prioritizing some of these use cases, selecting 5 or 6 of them, we started to working deeply with this planning system. So by the end of the year, we hope that we will distribute this to our 4 municipalities. So this is a web-based application. It's not a software that you need to install on your laptop or computer. This is a web-based application. It's very intuitive, very simple. So it's meant to be used by not only by urban planners. It's meant to be used by any people in the municipality who work for the local government and who do not have training in GIS or in mapping or in data visualization. So let's say we have someone who works for the economics department, and they're used to work with a huge, endless Excel sheet with lots of columns, lots of data. It's really difficult to navigate there, to update it. Due to this system, thanks to this system, they will have this data visualized. So this platform is combining both geospatial data and statistical data. So they will be able to visualize anything they need and to overlap it with any other data, for instance. So at the moment, these data sets exist in isolatedly in different departments. You have population data in one table and economics data in another one. Using this platform, they can overlap it, see the population distribution and how it interacts with the distribution of businesses, let's say, etc. So the application is very simple, and the possible ways to use it are endless, but our main goal was to have a comprehensive solution that unites all the data sets in one place and an opportunity to analyze it for anyone, regardless their background. Even non-tech people can use it quite easily. So in addition to just data visualization, we also have features related to spatial analysis like accessibility or reachability analysis. Also, we know that people we work with are oftenly report, so they can convert all this data into dashboards. This platform supports this. They can simulate some events. For instance, they want to build a new school. They can imagine this on this platform, put a test like trial school in some location, and to see how this overlaps with the population data. Also, we include a participatory module, so people will have an opportunity to to impact some decisions made through this platform. So this is one of the use cases. For instance, our municipality owns 3 buildings or 3 land plots, and they want to build in one of them an IDP housing. One is an old school, another one is a former hotel, and the third one is a abandoned parking lot. They can make a link, make it public to the community, and people can vote where it makes more sense for them to arrange this internally displaced people housing. They can also see other layers to see where you have public transportation, where you have hospitals, where you have schools, and based on this comprehensive information, make their choice and to make this voice public and visible and to affect decisions in their community. So in a nutshell, this is what we have been working in Ukraine, hopefully contributing to its resilient response to the crisis. If you're interested to learn a bit more about our digital tools, you're very welcome to visit our website or to get in touch. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Marina. That's fascinating. And I have a couple of questions here and questions for Hugo as well. So Hugo, if you're around and can join us for the Q&A. I'm aware that we're running up to the advertised close at hour, but I do have some questions, and I would invite questions from the floor as well if there are any. I'm going to try and keep it to 5 minutes or so because I appreciate that people have got other things to do with their days. But I'm going to start. Hugo, are you there? I can't see you, but I will. Okay, well, that might make things shorter. I'm going to ask you a question about the challenges you faced during the project implementation. How have you found those challenges?
Well, we have plenty, of course. Considering that our tool is very data dependent, of course, data is a huge issue. So we were lucky enough, we had implementing partners in Ukraine on site who are doing data collection, and this serves as a baseline for our digital tool. But otherwise, of course, data is a big issue in Ukraine. Just to give you a little bit of an understanding of the scale of the problem. So the latest census was conducted in 2001. It was all way before the annexion of Crimea and the beginning of the invasion and all the massive internal displacement of people. So of course, it's not representative at all of the current situation. Due to the hostilities, due to the changing front line, lots of municipalities do not have data. They were either destroying data sets intentionally in order to prevent it from getting into the wrong hands, or sometimes data was just lost during these chaotic actions. Also, coming back to the decentralization reform, a lot of municipalities changed their boundaries. They absorbed some settlements they didn't work with before. Therefore, they do not have their master plans. They do not have any knowledge about population or about what's happening there. So, of course, data consistency, accessibility, quality is a massive challenge for us.
Great. I think that's, I mean, data quality is a universal challenge, I think, but it must be incredibly difficult in your circumstances. I think nothing, this webinar was about resilience, and nothing talks to resilience more than the situation going on in Ukraine at the moment. So I will ask final call for questions from the floor, but as it is the hour, I might hand back over to Martina. And say thank you to Mariana, to Hugo, and to Wei in their absence too. Martina, I think you're on mute.
Sorry. Just a quick remark and maybe a question for Marina, since that is we have heard the importance of data-driven sort of decision-making, and also the importance of sharing data with people, and the two loops that Wei showed, the loop of the data and decision-making, the loop of the democratic or people-driven decision-making. And then also Hugo brought in the other aspect that we might not be able in future to trust the data, or we might have fake data, not necessarily malicious, that just emerges just because we lose control. How do you see this? Is this a challenge that you are already considering in the work that you're doing in Ukraine, or is something that is still in the future, thankfully, is coming, but not immediately, and therefore for now is a secondary issue? How do you see it personally, maybe?
Thank you for the question. This is definitely a very relevant challenge for us. We're being a little bit conflicted because we're advocating for open data and human-centered approach. We want to empower local communities and to empower local data collection, etc., and ownership of data. But due to the martial law, we have objective limitations in Ukraine. Sometimes they're objective and they're coming from the legislation. Sometimes they're rather psychological, or I don't know how to frame it differently, emotional. So sometimes municipalities or representatives of authorities are just hesitant and scared to share too much data. So how we approach this, we're introducing different levels of access to this data. So most of the data sets that I was talking about will be available to the employees of municipalities. They will have their logins. Therefore, this won't be entirely public data for the moment. Also, we are practicing this people-centered approach, which means that we empower local stakeholders, right? We've collected data, we created a digital tool, we are transferring this together with the knowledge and guidelines how to use this, and then they have the full ownership over all of this. So this is up to them how to use this data. We're training them how to update it and how to keep it relevant. But they make the decision which data to open, which to with which data to be a little bit more careful at the moment. So here they have really our full support and full freedom. And I think, of course, what Hugo was saying about data literacy, it resonated with me absolutely. So we're putting much efforts into this and training our stakeholders in having good understanding of data security and principles of working with data, so they could manage it in a smart way and safe way.
Thank you very much, Marina. Thank you very much, Harry, for conducting the show today. Thank you very much for all of the people that managed to stay just a few minutes more and reach the end. So we are, as I said earlier, we are planning another event for the beginning of October. It will be on coastal and marine issues. So please join us if you're interested. Thank you so much, everyone, and enjoy the rest of your day or your evening or your morning, depending on where you are. Thank you, and goodbye, everyone.
Thank you so much.